I'm just going to read from the script. So, what went wrong? To paraphrase Riddick, the question isn't what went wrong, the question is what happened to me to not see this coming. Try to analyse the two while speculating on what's going to happen next and how I'm going to fix all this, and what's the future for Turbo Slug. Well, it's clear that I had poor oil pressure or oil pressure loss at some time, but my driving was absolute crap and that didn't help the situation at all. Driving like an idiot and throwing the car hard into corners isn't going to help keep the pickup under the oil level. I think that right-hand corners tend to displace the oil too much, leaving the level too low for continuous oil draw. Driving it like a rally car is just asking for trouble. You can see how much I move my head when cornering. I'll put a video up somewhere. That gives you an idea how much lateral force in the car I'm experiencing, and the car as well. I'd say at this point the engine just sucked air into the oil pump, and then what do I say and do? Gun it. Harsh acceleration with little or no time for the oil pump to rebuild pressure before the boost comes on. So very little residual oil film on the bearings, and bang, full load on the bearings, literal wipeout. Talking of oil, who was the idiot penny pincher who didn't do his oil change since the dyno runs? A whole afternoon of full load 400 horsepower power runs, and because the next track day is only 2 weeks away, and because Turbo Slug hasn't been on the track since the last oil change, etc, etc, you see the pattern. Okay, so let's say it's the oil pan's design fault. Yes, it's a steel pan without many baffles. There's still a windage tray in it. And it could be said that on right-hand corners the oil tends to slop up to one side, leaving the pickup potentially dry. There are a number of high-performance Series 2 3800s on the forums and on YouTube that have spun bearings at one time or another. The later Series 3 3800 motors use a different pan, and from what I can see in the photo, much more compartmented sump. Might be worth looking into if it wasn't for the shipping costs and the import costs. What? Wait, I'm a bloody engineer. I knew this, and I could have easily modified my existing pan with better oil retaining trapdoors and baffles. I know how to fabricate, I know how to weld steel. Now, this one is an own goal. Now, to the driver and what he expects from his car. Turbo Slug is a fast road-going Fiero. It's not an out-and-out race car. It has nice leather seats, a good interior, and the bodywork is in pristine condition. And it doesn't have a damn roll cage, so why do I drive it like it was a race car? I don't know. What makes me push this nice car that I've painstakingly restored to do things that are asked only from stripped-out, purpose-built racing cars? Turbo Slug weighs 1,300 kilos. It's too heavy to be flung around a tight track at the limit of its adhesion. Every other fast car on track that day was either a Lotus Exige or a fully race-prepped and caged, non-road legal car that came to the track on the back of a trailer. What am I trying to prove? I did, however, get some pretty fast lap times, according to the timestamps on my filming. I was only 4 or 5 seconds slower per lap than a Porsche GT3 driven by a professional driver. Oh wow, I can drive like a pro, and I can blow up my car like a pro. It's a shame I don't have the sponsors like a pro to get my car rebuilt for the next race. Gonna have to rethink what I'm doing all this for. Turbo Slug needs to be detuned in order to get back to something that's nice to drive. Look at the footage, I wasn't even enjoying the track driving that day. Turbo Slug is too low. Turbo Slug's steering is too heavy at low speeds. Turbo Slug vibrates too much at low revs and makes far too much noise at speed. It saturates all the microphones when trying to film from the interior. Turbo Slug is just not fun to drive anymore. As well, my wife refuses to ride with me in the car any longer. She hates how the car scrapes over speed bumps, etc. So, first things first, engine out and dismantling to see what's left usable in the motor. I'm hoping it's just a bottom end shell bearing and the forged conrods will go again. After a crank regrind, maybe. I didn't seize the motor and it hadn't overheated. Anyway, that's going to be the winter project to do a full engine tear down and rebuild. Next, the poly engine mounts have to go. The NVH in the cabin is impossible to live with. This will require some re-engineering to redo the mounts with softer rubber mounts while still retaining enough stiffness to transmit the power. Anyway, all of this should better isolate the engine vibrations from the cabin, and with some new sound deadening on the firewall, Bob's your uncle. Turbo slug is way too low to the ground. The back can be adjusted up thanks to homemade coilovers, no problem. The front is a bit trickier, but swapping back some standard ball joints instead of the lowering ball joints will get back 3 to 4 centimeters. That should be a good start, and we'll see how this feels once the car is back on the road. I know I've talked a lot of bullshit in the past about reducing the roll centre of the car with lowering ball joints. It's just that, it's bull. Turbo slug is always rolling side to side, even being so lowered. The other thing is just to put normal road tyres back on. The semi-slicks are horrible to drive when the conditions aren't ideal. Plus going back to standard 60 section tyres will give me an overall lift of 1.5–2 centimetres. All said and done, 5 to 6 centimetres, 5 to 6 centimetres will get me over the speed bumps without scraping, and will get my wife back as a co-pilot. And not having the 225 wide slicks up front will help reduce the steering forces as well. It's a win-win. If I can find a second set of rims, the Toyo semi-slicks can be for track days only. Concerning track days, I'm not going to do as many. Before, it was fun to roll with similar cars. Between 2015 and 2018 I had some really great track days with the car clubs. But since 2019 I see less and less normal cars and more race cars at the track. And this is not even during competitive or timed sessions. Since the classic car market never ceases to push up the price of a sporty, a classic or a young timer car, I think there has been a tendency not to risk damaging one's classic car. So, the owners keep their pride and joys just for the Sunday driving. Instead, they acquire a real race car to go to the track. Also, I've noticed that professional drivers seem to come more often to a club track day meeting in order to practice. It's probably a cheaper solution for them than hiring a circuit all day just for a test and tune session. Downside is that they're dominating the circuit while us amateurs are just getting pushed off by their faster driven race prep machines. Since the clubs have difficulty to get the numbers of amateur enthusiasts to sign up for a track day, they're probably letting in more pros now. Anyway, that was my rant. Well, whatever. I'm rethinking my personal goals, yes, and why I do these track days. I haven't really enjoyed the more recent circuits, and I know I'm pushing Turbo Slug beyond its capacity. As said earlier, I painstakingly rebuilt this car from a wreck, and now I just seem to be intent on wrecking the poor thing again. If I want to drive to the limit, I can just hire a car for a session. I've done this in the past, and I'll put up a clip of me spinning out an Audi R8 and me munching the third gear on a Lotus Exige. Not my tyres, not my gearbox. Anyway, that's just about all for now. I'll try to document the vlog, this engine rebuild, as I go along. We'll see. Anyway, stay safe, don't have a legendary bad day as I had, and don't blow your car up. There we go. Thank you.